day, everybody. My name is Carlos. This is another great episode coming up for My Life Without Limits. I do want to give the good afternoon, because it's a good afternoon now here where we are, to my co-host, the brain of the podcast, the prettier of the podcast, because I'm like not that much prettier. But I want to introduce Leah Eisen, which, by the way, it's her birthday today.
That is true.
So I do want to mention that before we start the show, it's her birthday today.
It is.
A year younger for her.
Yes, I go backwards now. Yes.
We don't go forward, we go backwards.
That's right.
So it's a year younger for her. So happy birthday, Leah. Happy birthday from all of us, from all of our audience. So Leah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. No, I'm really good. I was worried this morning because I didn't have much of a voice. I've been a little bit hoarse today, but it sounds like it's perked up okay now. And it won't hold us back anyways. But yeah, I'm doing really good.
Well, it sounds like you're very committed to this podcast.
This episode is
since your
this
voice was almost lost, and then no, but we really wanted this episode to be recorded because we really know this guy for quite some time, and this guest for quite some time now. And but I will let you introduce the guest because I love when you introduce the guest, and so I will let you introduce the guest. And then he can speak more about himself and more about who he is. But I'll let you introduce. So.
Yes, this is like one of the few guests that I've actually met before. A lot of our guests, this is the first time I'm meeting them, but I have met this guest before. This guest even knows my mom a little bit. And so our friend Zachary Weeks is here. And we've been talking about having him here since we started. 2 years ago almost. And I don't know why it took so long, but maybe this is just the perfect time now. So we are happy to have you here, Zachary. Why don't you maybe fill everybody in who might not know you about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. And happy birthday, Leah.
Thank you.
Definitely a day to celebrate now for sure.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm not sure why it took so long, but then again, we were in the middle of a pandemic and, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I guess for those that don't know me, my name's Zachary. I am born and raised in Edmonton. As you mentioned, we did have the opportunity to meet before everything went online. I know your mom a little bit from back in the day when I first got started. Maybe we'll chat a little bit about that later. But I guess my passion really revolves around helping people with disabilities, and something that I take really serious and to heart. And I just think it's a true blessing and really my life calling to be able to be a voice for the voiceless, and something that I'm very humbled by and don't take for granted.
Yeah, you do a lot of work in advocacy. Every now and again, there's you in the news.
You
doing something.
You do a lot of advocacy work, and I feel like I might not know you as much as Leah or as much as longer as Leah. I think I met you when I started working for Cerebral Palsy Alberta, which it was like, what is it, 12 years ago now almost? Yeah, 12 years ago now, which it seems to be a long time. But yeah, as Leah said, you're very much an advocate for persons with disabilities, and you're a huge voice and a huge example for the disability community. I do want to just now start this conversation for people who don't know who Zachary is, we heard your wonderful introduction that you're from Edmonton, born and raised. As far as I remember and know, you're an Oilers fan. For those of you guys who are Oilers fans,
Yep,
go
go
Oilers. You know, you're an Oilers fan, but could you explain to our audience a little bit about your upbringing, like what happened to you, whether you have CP, is it another disability? What is it that you can describe to people of who you really are so that they can know you a little bit better?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny you say, you know, what happened to me, because I think we're all trying to figure that out.
Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah. Including my wife and my mom, and
yeah.
So and everyone who knows me. But in terms of my disability, I have cerebral palsy. I as with many other folks with the condition, I had some birthing complications where I wasn't getting enough oxygen, which therefore, you know, left me with cerebral palsy. My mom's contractions were actually squishing me to the point where I, you know, ended up defecating in during the labor, and then I inhaled all that, which is maybe too much for the podcast, but that's
all good.
That's the glory of my story. But
interesting.
But yeah, so I subsequently ended up with cerebral palsy just because I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And you know, I've got my first wheelchair when I was 5 years old. Kind of a cool story around there, because my mom, when I finally got into my power chair, I just sort of off I went, you know, and the PTs and the OTs are all like mind blowing, because they're like, how's he know how to drive so good already, right? Like, and it's funny because my mom, when I was a kid, she used to buy me all these remote control cars. And so that's sort of how
that's hilarious.
You know, a joystick's a joystick, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I got in and went.
That's awesome.
Yeah, obviously a lot of time spent at the Glenrose throughout my childhood. Number of surgeries. But yeah, shout out to the Glenrose.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing rehab hospital here in Edmonton, Alberta, and really wouldn't be where I am without them. And yeah.
And I would say was probably one of the best hospitals, one of the best rehabilitation hospitals in the city, for sure. There's quite a bit of more physiotherapists now out there than they were probably when you were born and when I was born. I wasn't born here, but you were born here. And it's so nice that you were able to have something like the Glenrose, or a facility like the Glenrose, that will be able to help you, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it was sort of cutting edge back then, still cutting edge now, I would think. I mean, I just had a conversation with one other staff the other day, and now they're doing like brain computer work. And like a little girl was able to, you know, essentially throw a ball for a dog with her mind. And like how advanced is that? I mean, now we just have to be able to sync it up to the PlayStation 5 and take care of some business on NHL 23.
And I was just thinking too, I was like, my first instinct was, oh, I wonder if it'll clean the house. Like if you could hook it up to, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, how can, but no, it's not for us able-bodied people. I'll stay away
It's,
from it.
it's
I'll let you
not-
guys
It
have
works.
I'll let you have it.
Yeah, it's not like you're probably thinking like Mary Poppins thing, right? You just click a finger and then just moves
Yes.
things around, right? So
Yes, that's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, I'm sure my wife would appreciate that as well.
Yes.
As well as my
Yes.
caregiver, Christopher. So
Yes, and my husband would appreciate the PlayStation part too,
Of
because
course.
yeah, he plays his PlayStation hockey every night.
there you go.
It's loud. You guys, you may hear him from across the city. I don't know, but it gets
And
loud.
I get pretty loud too. I had, I mean, the Oilers were in the playoffs last year,
Mhm.
obviously, because they're the
Yes,
best. But,
that's right.
yeah, it's funny because my neighbors told my wife, yeah, well, we always know when Zachary's watching the game because we heard him the other night. I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
Yep.
I know I have a big mouth, but like that's starting to get a bit embarrassing.
that's too, you're thinking that's too loud.
Yeah, when you hear me cursing at the TV, that's a different side of Zachary.
That's too loud, eh?
You still get out to a lot of games? Do you have season tickets?
Yeah,
No?
I'm very fortunate to be able to have season seats. I don't get out to as many games now, just with COVID and
Mhm.
everything. You know, just doing our part, right? So
Yeah.
being that I have CP and whatnot, it's hockey's great and is my life, but as is advocacy. So
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's not worth the risk. And
Yeah.
so I usually get out to about 5 games a year, and then share my tickets with others that
Yeah.
want to grab some or whatever.
You
Yeah.
actually have shared the tickets with me once, quite a bit of
Yeah.
times too, and
Mhm.
so
I don't know what happened because you never called me back and wanted more tickets, so
no,
maybe they lost.
no. I'm still thinking about calling you to get more tickets eventually for sure,
There you
because
go.
I do wanna go to at least a couple more games eventually for sure.
Yeah,
No, but
it's
yeah,
fun.
for sure. It's a fun environment for sure.
It
Mhm.
is.
Fun environment. But I do get you that this COVID thing is better to keep it safe than
Mhm.
not to
Mhm.
keep it safe. So Zachary, I wanted to talk a little bit about how did you came up with the idea of being so passionate? In my eyes, you're so passionate about advocacy and being out there and not promoting, but be more like, a voice for the individuals, but not only you being the voice, but the way I see it is you're a mentor to other people to spread the word
Mhm.
as well, for not only for CP but other disabilities as well. How did that start it, if you don't mind
Mhm.
touching on that?
Well, thank you. That means a lot coming from you, Carlos. And yeah, I guess I mean, where do we start? So I mean, throughout my childhood, just given the timing of growing up when I did, uh, you know, it was a time where there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me in the media, and I'm sure a lot of people have said this prior to me coming on the show with your guest, but growing up, there wasn't always Facebook or
Mhm.
Twitter or Snapchat or TikTok or any of that stuff. So it was very isolating in terms of trying to find those mentors,
Yeah.
as you say, Carlos. So, but to back it up a little bit, I always growing up, I never I knew I was disabled, obviously, but I was I didn't see myself
Yep.
as, oh, a disabled person, you know, like,
Mhm.
oh, you know, and I was very fortunate to have a lot of great friends. I was just one of the kids, right? And
Mhm.
so, you know, that being said, and because, you know, I was like the only kid or one of two that was in my school with a disability.
Mhm.
You know, I I guess I never really saw myself as disabled. I didn't want anything to do with it.
Mhm.
I'm not that. And then, you know, I've always wanted to be normal. There's many nights where I would cry myself to sleep, and I want to be normal. Well,
Mhm.
why did God do this to me? What like why do I deserve this?
Mhm.
Uh, when everybody else is able to play hockey and soccer and intramurals and dating and this and that as you get older, right? So
Mhm.
going to parties and so it was I was literally having a meltdown one day, like off the rails, crying, and then you know I was um it was very I remember it very vividly where I was in my backyard, my mom's backyard, and my dad's backyard, and I was you know crying my eyes out and just frustrated with the world and
Mhm.
life is horrible. Uh,
Mhm.
I guess in a way, feeling sorry for me, but you know, I sort of had a epiphany, uh, you know, and it just sort of hit me like somebody hit me in the face with a frying pan. When all of a sudden I was like, well, geez, like maybe maybe I was born to be like this, you know.
Mhm.
You know, not to get all religious or what have you,
Mhm.
but you know, maybe all those years I was trying to fit in when I was born to stand out, and that's
Uh-huh.
one of my cliche sayings, I guess.
Mhm.
And I have it tattooed on my arm as well. I don't know if you can see it
Yes.
well, but it says
Perfect.
"Born to Stand Out." So as soon as I, you know, came to that realization, and I, you know, really leaned into that mentality of, hey, I was born to be that way or
Yeah.
this way. It's like the whole world flipped,
Right.
and things got easier, and really it's something that would turn into a huge part of my
Mhm.
life now, right?
Yep.
That's sort of what I've been able to, you know, um, put my name to is being proud to be disabled and
Mhm.
being a voice for what's not right, and
Mhm.
how can we work together and all that stuff. So yeah, for any kids that are listening or watching or like be proud of your differences,
Yep.
because it's what's gonna set you apart from others,
Mhm.
and it's really an advantage if you if you um believe it, you know,
Yeah.
and of course mentorship comes into that hugely as well. You know, fortunate enough, I just had a really crappy day and it hit me like a ton of bricks, but
Yeah.
that doesn't happen for everyone. So it's really important that people such as myself or so many of your other great guests lean into that mentorship as well.
Yeah.
For our next generation, because it's so important for personal development, your self-confidence, your determination, your resilience. And not that I didn't have that before, because my mom and dad would treat me just like any other kid, you know. If you don't be quiet back there, I'm gonna make you walk home, right? And okay, you know.
Love that.
And if you say that nowadays, I'm sure something horrible would happen and you'd be
I
like,
know,
"Ooh,"
right?
but
Back then.
back then that was fair game. But yeah, so my mom, she's my hero. There's nobody else that tops her, even Connor McDavid. But
well, I mean, yeah, it's Connor McDavid.
yeah,
I mean.
but you know, she really is who I am. I'm who I am because of her, and I can't thank her enough for kicking my ass and in all the right moments.
Yeah.
And treating me and showing me that you're not going to be the next Connor McDavid, but you can be upstairs. You know, and use your brain and your smarts and your abilities to overcome the obstacles and challenges that you're going to have throughout your life, and be a model for someone else.
Yeah.
And yeah,
you're the Connor McDavid of the advocacy world.
I don't know about that.
Disability world. Absolutely. No, I really think you hit it on the nail when you said that you are meant to stand out. And well, you said maybe I'm meant to stand out. I think you're already standing out, and you are standing out, and that's what you're meant to be. I think a lot of us, when I talk about mentorship, when I talk about your mentorship to other people, like including myself, it's that you're teaching us to stand out and to embrace our difference. As you mentioned that, you know, it's hard for people like ourselves, and I can speak about myself, to embrace your differences, because sometimes you think about your difference and you're like, yeah, but the majority of people don't like that. And you get to have all those little monsters in your head, right? That comes along. But that's what you're saying is a good reminder of, if you embrace the difference, you stand out. You know, if you embrace the difference, you're standing out, and you're showing other people to stand out. And I think when we talked about you being the Connor McDavid of the disability community, is true, because, well, that's the way I see it, and that's the way
I don't know,
We're going with it. We're running with it.
We're going with it.
Okay, we're going with that. All right.
Just because, and I'm not saying it.
It's our podcast, Zachary.
Other people are not meant to be the Connor McDavid of the disability community. They could too, but yeah, you're that phrase is actually going to stick with me, and actually I'm going to use it. And saying this is actually a phrase from
I've
Zachary
already
Weeks.
Copyrighted it.
This is a
phrase. You got to pay royalties.
This is a phrase. This is a phrase for Zachary Weeks, and I'm going to be charged for it. Oh. It says you're meant to stand out, and no, it's a great phrase, and thank you for sharing that in our podcast, because I really.
Yeah, and I mean, and I want to be clear. Like, the intent is not to be the Connor McDavid of the disability world. It's
all right.
To, it's to, you know, be the best you can be, and it truly is a journey of, developing your self-confidence. And I think that embracing your differences is the very first step. I mean, we're talking about like it's easy to do. It's not easy to do. And
you're right.
It's, to your point, you have all those little monsters in your head that have, kept you down for so long, in society as well. I mean, everywhere we go, there's barriers, either physically or attitudinal or what have you. And so you just gotta say F it.
Yeah.
And throw up the double birds and
that's right.
Go and do it. And and lift others around you. I mean, it's not just what's good for Carlos or Leah or Zachary. What's good for us is good for everyone. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in the disability community, is that we have this weird hierarchy of like, oh, well, I can never be Carlos or Leah or Zachary because XYZ, or and we, the hierarchy is. Can we curse on this?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
have before. Yeah.
I think this hierarchy that is out there is absolute bullshit. And I think, it's, as soon as we get rid of that and we start working in silos and really unify as a voice and as a movement, that's when stuff's gonna get real, right? I mean, I'm so proud but envious of the other communities that I look up to, like the LGBT community, or the indigenous community of, if we have this nothing about us without us, but then we're leaving people on the side of the road instead of saying, hey, get in the bus. We're going to stir some shit up.
That's right.
So, it doesn't matter whose voice it is, as long as it's being said.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I do with all the roles that I've been fortunate enough to be a part is it's not just about the CP community. What about the people with vision loss, with hearing loss, with mental illness? I mean, I am mental illness. And I've never really talked about it. So I guess
I'll
talk
make you
about it now.
Today's your day.
But I mean, I deal with depression and anxiety, and it's shitty.
Yeah,
I have a lot of gray days, and a lot of days where you would never think, oh, that's Zachary. No, but those that are closest to me, man, they could tell you some stories. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to really embrace each other and have each other's back, because no one else is gonna do it.
Yep.
Nobody else is. I mean, we have allies, right? And we need allies.
Yeah.
I don't like it when I hear disabled people or people with disabilities say, oh, well, don't speak for me. Blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, don't speak for you. I get it. But we need people to help get our mission across.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it's just, yeah, don't speak for Zachary or Carlos, but you can elevate what you've seen or experienced with them.
Yeah.
If you're going out to somewhere and you notice something ableist or what have you. But we need allies just as much as we need advocates.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's what I talk about that a lot, because I can like to consider myself an ally. And I've learned a lot. Yeah. Having to, you know, enhance the voices, because, you know, with my social media work, I don't want to speak for, but I'm just putting out there what they're already saying. And things that I've experienced, sharing stories, you know, in that sense. So we do. There needs to be more allies for sure.
I really like that you guys are touching on allies, because it's so true, Zachary. We don't have people yet as much unified as you want to see it, as I want to see it, as a lot of us want to see it. And I think we need to start doing that. And one of the things that I got from you that I want to share in my perspective. At first, I was really proud that you were on the media all the time and you were doing all this, you know, Facebook and media and all this stuff. And I remember you saying to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but something along the lines of like, it's not really, it's not much about putting yourself out there on TV all the time. It's about the work that you do and the example that you put on to people. That's the way I saw it. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, so true. It's not about, you know, the way I see it is, it's not now because of you. It's not about being in social media just to be famous and just to, you know, to be out there and to have a face for it. But it's about, in my perspective, it's about what you teach people. It's about what you're bringing to people, the message that you give to people. That's the way I got to see it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zachary, but that's the way I got it from.
No, 100%. And I mean, social media is such a great tool, but it's the tip of the iceberg, and you know, it's the behind the scenes work that really gets, you know, that really sets the foundation for the stuff that people see in the news or whatever, you know. And again, the more you lean into it, then you know, you learn and you learn. And I mean, but at the same time, it's tiring work. It's like not to, you know, come across as arrogant, but like, I live, breathe, and sleep disability issues, because that's what it needs. That's what you need to do if you're serious about moving the needle. And not everyone, I don't expect everyone to do that. You gotta be able to do what you can do. And if that's putting out one tweet a day or whatever, and that's your spoon, then good, you know?
Yeah.
Amen. But if you're able to offer more and you want to be the next Carlos or Leah, then go for it.
Yeah.
But you got to put in the work. I mean, nothing's handed to you ever. And that's one of the things that my mom, you know, drilled into me is, don't think that you're gonna get off easy just because you're in a wheelchair or this or that. You better put in the damn work.
Yeah, that's right.
And as long as I see effort and you're putting in your best, then I'll be proud of you. But you know, bitch and moan if you're not gonna belly up and do the work, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah.
Yep, absolutely true. Now, once in a while, or a couple times since we've been talking, I've noticed a pair of hands come into the frame of the screen. So, who have you got there with you?
Yeah, so I have my caregiver, Christopher, and you know, I don't think enough credits given to those behind the scene. You know, it's without him, there is no me, and so you know, it's a very overlooked position and a critical piece of the puzzle, because I can't do any of the work that I do without him. So yeah, that's he's a huge part of my life, and someone I'm externally and eternally grateful for. But now that he's heard this, he'll probably be walking around the house with a big head. So
Probably.
he'll probably give you a hard time
but
now.
he's deserved it, and you know,
That's-
I probably don't say it enough, but I you know, without him, my life would be nothing. So
Aw.
note to other people with disabilities is take let your staff know how much they mean to you, and you know,
Yeah.
they're human beings that have sacrificed a lot to come over to Canada. In my case, he's in the Philippines, but you know, yeah, they put in a lot of. It's not glorious work,
Right.
so but it's needed work, and
Yeah.
a very honorable thing, a profession that
Yeah.
I really respect, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're married as well, right?
As far as I know, yes.
As far as you know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm married, going on 10 years now, to my beautiful wife Tanis, and you know, she's been a rock for me as well, and you know, is usually the one that likes to remind me that I have a family as well, and really puts me in my place when maybe I get a little bit too high up on myself, but because I'm not perfect by any means, but she's a tremendous lady that I have the utmost respect for, and you know, just the most loving person I've ever met. You know, and yeah, she's an angel on earth.
She's fantastic. For those
Yeah.
who have met her, like for myself and people who have met her, she's very great. She's fantastic. I can attain to that, but I'm pretty sure you can attain to that more because she lives with you, right? She's with you basically all the time. So I can.
Yeah.
But for those of us who have met her, she's fantastic. She's a great person, and yeah, absolutely. That's awesome that you've been with. What I didn't know is that you've been married for 10 years, which is pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
well, it's coming on 10 years.
Coming on 10 years.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great. Me too, with my husband. Yeah,
There
coming
you
on
go.
10 years. Yeah. Do you guys have you ever experienced anything when you guys are out and about? Do people assume that she's your caregiver, or do do you ever get that kind of?
Yeah, it's yeah, and it really irks her, but
Yeah,
it's kind of funny, like, and that's a huge part of the way I live my life is, you know, you're gonna laugh at, because if you internalize everything that happens, you'll just blow up.
Yeah, you have a great sense of humor.
So I mean,
yeah,
it's a dark sense of humor, but
that's okay.
But people thinking that she's my sister, or my caregiver, or a friend, or that sort of thing. Definitely happens every once in a while, where you're out and somebody, a waitress or a waiter, asking, "What will he eat?" And I'm like, "Well, go ahead and tell him, Terrence, but also let him know that he's not getting a tip tonight."
That's right. That's right. Those in the service industry, take note.
but no, it's funny how that works.
Yeah. What was dating like before you met her? I guess there was no, was there Tinder? No, there was no Tinder or anything back then, but there was online dating.
Yeah. So, dating really was hit and miss. I mean, virtually non-existent for me, as I'm sure it's difficult for others as well. And I think, thinking back, and even now, like, people are so judgmental, even if you don't have a disability.
Oh, I hated dating. As a plus size girl, it's rough. Yeah.
And I mean, if you have like one, eyebrow that's a little bit off or something, it's like a 2 on the Tinder scale or whatever it is. But I think it's swipe right to say yes and left for no.
For no, that's one.
But back then, I mean, you're at such a young age. People are very vain, and judgmental, and you just have those societal stereotypes that come on with having a disability, like every person with a disability magically has a developmental disability.
Right.
Nothing against developmental disabilities. My Tannis's aunt, who I absolutely adored, I fell in love with when I got to meet her. She had Down syndrome, and she you want to talk about celebrity? She lived in a small town called Shaunavon. I'm going off track now, but I'll get back to my point.
That's okay. Love to hear about it.
Lived in a small town, Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, and we go out there, once or twice, 3 times a year for holidays, Thanksgiving, Easter, that sort of thing. And we'd have to go out for groceries with Maggie. Her name is Maggie. And I was like, okay, let's run to the store, the co-op, right? Because there's no Safeways around, but so it's like, we'll be like 15 minutes, right? Well, I was new to the family at that point.
Yeah.
So we get in there, we're parking, we're going in. Well, we didn't get out of there for at least like 45 an hour. Because she knew everybody.
I bet.
And everybody knew her. And she's the type of person where, she knew like everybody's name and their birthday, and the little babies that were in the family that were just born. We had to talk about that. and so it was like going to the grocery store with karmic date. Like,
Right.
I didn't. Here I am planning 15 minutes to grab some buns for dinner, and
Oh, that's so awesome.
yeah. So, but she
45.
she was smart. Like, you'd go, oh, cute little Maggie, right?
Yeah.
But she had a devilish streak to her.
Did she? Oh.
There was one. My wife told me a story once where there's this rooster on their farm, and he was an angry old bugger.
Mm-hmm.
She it came the time to take care of this rooster, and she was the first in line to say, chop his head off, so
Yep.
but
Devilish streak.
anyhow, back to dating. So
It's okay.
Yeah, just dealing with the societal stereotypes.
Yeah.
I decided, well, maybe online's better, because then you get a picture of yourself, the suave man that I am.
Yep.
And I get a headshot and whatnot, and don't mention the disability, and then there's, see what happens. And then I ended up, getting frustrated because, people would message, and then I find out you have a disability, and then so you had the plague, the pulse, and that's that. And then so I literally put in my profile, like, I have a disability. If you don't like it, I'm not for you. But it allowed me to also show that I was capable to have a conversation and show the humor coming out, and and so.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Oh, that's Google.
That's Google.
Why nobody asked you? But scared the hell out of me. Anyway, so when I came across Tanz's profile, it was around Christmas, and I just sent her a message, say, hey, hope you're having a great Christmas. If you want to chat, message back. If not, just have a good Christmas, right? And it's funny because on the other side of things, I guess she'd been trying to delete her profile for like 2 months.
Oh,
yeah, and because she was getting all these creepers and stuff.
Yeah,
it wouldn't let her. So then I slid into the DMs, or however it's saying nowadays, and it's like, oh, that's nice, and I guess I came across as genuine, but then from there we started talking, and she had her own hesitations, like that she told me after, like, how do I know that he's able to carry on that conversation? And you can type, but what if I don't understand him on the phone, or this or that? And if that was the case, that's the case. There's always a way around it. For anyone who's listening and whatnot, because love is love. If it's meant to happen,
That's
it's meant
right.
to happen. But love takes work.
It does.
It does take.
It does.
But then we had our first date. That took a while because she's a very busy lady. I had to offer like 5 or 6 different schedule combinations to go to an Oilers game. Thank goodness I had season seats, so I had some flexibility.
Right. Yeah.
She was a big curler, and yeah, so I think our first date was a movie. Maybe that was a second date.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's getting fuzzy. Either way,
Wow.
we went to. It was either an Oilers game for sure, or a movie, and yeah, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Or there,
Exactly.
from there, you guys hit it off, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it was easy, but you guys hit it off, and away
Yeah.
we go. You know,
It's a great way, actually. That's a great first date, because if the Oilers win, she sees you at your best, and if they lose, she'll see you at your worst.
I never
And
thought
then
of
she can
it.
go, okay, can I handle this every hockey
Right.
season?
I never thought of it like that.
It's a good test.
it is
Very good test.
It is a good test.
Love
Well,
that.
that's a really great story for those of us who are hopeful one day in finding our women. Maybe we're on our way, which is a good thing. And yeah, it's like I said, I had the pleasure of meeting your wife, and I also have the pleasure of meeting your mom, which is two wonderful ladies in your life that have. You already mentioned how big of a admiration you have for both of them.
Yeah.
So it's totally true, because they're both pretty fantastic people, you know, your mom and your wife. So I'm very proud that you have them on your life. But it's time for us to ask the wonderful question. The only question that we have actually in this show, actually prep beforehand. We don't have any other questions. Usually prep, we usually do on the go, on the flow. And we have one question that we prep, because it's very important, and it's actually the theme of this podcast, which Leah usually asks. So Leah, go right ahead.
Sure. With everything that you've done and you do and all that stuff, do you feel you live your life without limits?
Oh man. You know, that's a good question.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's different for everybody.
So I think I live my life without limits. No, I don't think I do. Just because, yeah, there's so much stacked against people in my situation.
Yeah.
Whether we won or not. You know, I mean, and that, I guess that's why I take so seriously what I do, because I want to have a child to be able to grow up and live their life without limits, and not have to worry about planning every little detail of their life, and just being able to live life and carefree and you know, not worried about, you know, your wife being mistaken for your sister, or you know, not going to a certain event because there's no accessible washroom, or so it's I think we're getting there. We're getting there. But it's I can't and I think it's important for me to mention this, like the amount of work that has been done by CP Alberta, all the nonprofits, and their own focus, like CNIB or VAD or what have you. They have made my life easier to live. And there is parts of my life where I live without limits.
Yeah.
But it's taken everyone before me to get to that stage. And that's where I think it's important that I do my part to get back and make things easier and be a voice in everything, and not everything, but as much as I can, and mentor others, because sooner or later my time's gonna come, and that's that, right? Who carries the torch? And yeah, so the short answer is no. Long answer is yes, we're getting there.
Yeah, getting there. Yeah, it's not limits you put on yourself necessarily, although I know living with anxiety sometimes that can help make us limit ourselves to what we do.
Yeah, and
for sure.
That's yeah, definitely I put limits on myself, whether I want to or not. Some days I wake up and I go, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Is it all a waste of time? Is it, so, but you gotta just take it one day at a time, and sometimes 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, and this too shall pass. So
that's right.
But
yeah, awesome.
And it's given me chills because, and this question always gives me chills because there's a different answer for, as Leah says, for every single guest we have. And I really like what you mentioned about the short answer is no, but the long answer, we're getting there. And how you're saying that we're not going to live forever. We have to leave an example, mentoring other people so that they can carry the torch, right? Because not only you're not going to live forever, but I'm not going to live forever, unfortunately, because I would love to live forever, but I can't, right? We have another place to go. Leah is not going to live forever. She just
I don't want to. No,
she just turned.
I'll come to a point where I'm done.
On a side note, we had a game one time, an app that shows you how long you're gonna live, and me and Leah downloaded this app, and she had I don't know how many years you had.
It was like a lot.
15
was
years
it a
or
lot?
15 years to 20 years more, and it got mine app, and it says you're gonna die in 5 years, and then Leah is like,
mine was too long. I was like, no, please don't.
You want to trade?
Sorry, but
because I don't want to live forever. But going back to the topic is I think it's really important what Zachary you mentioned about carrying the torch, giving it to somebody else, mentoring people. It's a point that I keep coming back because I think it's important what you do, mentoring these people, mentoring myself, even though indirectly you do it for everything you do, for every video you put out there, for every conversation we had. It's very important to see that mentorship and to see that we are getting there to a life without limits. We are working towards it. And even though there's a no at this time, in your perspective, we are getting there. And I think you're completely right on that.
When it's funny you mentioned the mentorship side of things, because I guess sometimes people get a bit intimidated to say, hey, like I follow you, I want to be just like you, or would love to learn from you. A lot of people don't ask, and even nowadays, like I know you and I have had conversations, Carlos, but I mean, don't be afraid to reach out to someone, because we're all human, and like I can learn just as much from you as you can learn from me. And
Yeah.
I mean, don't cut yourself short. So, I mean, if you are planning to become a bigger voice or whatever you're planning to do, whether it's advocacy or learning how to play adaptive video games, reach out to those that
Yeah.
you look up to, and you'd be surprised to see how many positive responses you get because
Yeah.
they didn't get there on their own either.
That's right.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a very good point. Thank you, Zachary. Thank you so
Mhm.
much
Thank you.
for that answer. Thank you so much for your time, because I know you put up your wonderful time to be here,
Oh, no,
here with us.
my pleasure.
Any last remarks, Leah,
Yeah.
Zachary, you guys want to mention?
Not
No,
me.
just
I'm all good. This was a great conversation. I love learning about people and hearing experiences.
Oh,
and
and that's what we do this. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Zachary. I just
yeah, no, I was just gonna say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and chat and I love CP Alberta. I want to get more involved because that's my condition, obviously, and you know I'm always here for you, no matter what.
Yes. Thank you.
You know, thick and thin, and
Yeah.
yeah, if there's anything I can ever do to help out, let me know. And
Thank you.
yeah.
And we will put
Definitely.
your social media, if you don't mind, if you're okay with
Mhm.
that, in our description, so people can
Totally.
find you. People can reach out to you if people have any questions, more questions about this podcast, about what they heard today. People can reach out to you, and we will definitely do that. I think you're, like I said, you're a great, fantastic person. But as you said, there's other people also as well that other people could look up to as well. But I think they should look up to you as well, because we both look up to you very much so. And yeah, so we're gonna put all your description or all your details on social media on the description. And I appreciate all the people who are listening today. Thank you once again, Zachary, for being here and for being such a great supporter of this organization, CP Alberta, and great friend for both of us, Leah and myself. Thank you, Leah, for being here, to being so committed on the day of your birthday, on your
Hey.
losing your voice.
Yeah, I
coming
pulled
back
through. It pulled through for me.
Oh,
and be here. It just shows the commitment that you have for this
I do.
for this
Yes.
podcast, and
Yes.
it's fantastic for that.
I do.
So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are listening to. And don't forget to please leave your life without limits as well. Take care.
Bye-bye.